Okay, I am waiting for Dan. Should be joining momentarily. And there he is. Dan, are you there? Dan. Dan, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
You know oh, I think you're okay, say something.
Say something.
Okay, all right. So in the bottom right corner, your icon is updated, but when you speak, it goes to the blue thing. So I imagine that, yes, within 24 hours, this situation will be resolved.
That's good. That's also weird, but that's good.
Okay. So, Dan, we talked about how last time you and your hunting party had gone to Gainesville. You had met with a werewolf tribe. You had clashed with several dozen rots. You had had one of your teammates abducted by some unseen force. That teammate was tortured, forked over to the hospital with several injuries, including a surgically removed larynx. The unseen force threatened the rest of you to leave Gainesville and to never interfere with their plans again, lest they torture you and your loved ones. You did leave Gainesville. You left your teammate Roy in the hospital. You left your erstwhile hunter friend Travis also in Gainesville, ostensibly because he was going to watch over Roy and continue to investigate the situation there. The werewolves that you had befriended, thank you for your help. You had prevented a protest on the Micanopy Heritage Preserve grounds from turning violent, and you also prevented an unknowable number of ghosts from passing over into our realm from the Shadowlands. In many ways, this was a victory. In many ways, this was a tragic loss. You had also lost your teammate Becky to, who knows? She left. She up and went AWOL. So basically, you, the Hermit Rena, and the visionary Graham piled into your van and headed back to Atlanta to lick your wounds. When you got to Atlanta, your commanding officers, as it were, little air quotes around commanding officers, were horrified to learn that Roy's cell phone had been compromised, that the three of you had been threatened, that your family members and friends had been threatened. They were, of course, worried that sensitive information about their operation had fallen into enemy hands. You assured them it had not. And then you were basically... I'm going to give you a second to clear up that. Is there going to be more scratching noises?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, I'll give it 3 seconds, then I'll resume my narrative. You were then told by Paul and Barry that they felt that they had failed you as mentors and that you guys were not ready to handle missions on your own. That between the bombing in downtown Atlanta, between the thing with the vampires and the thing with you guys being threatened by some unseen foe, they felt that it was best for you to stand down. And they basically put you on a will call you basis. Oh, and they especially weren't happy with the fact that Roy was in the hospital and Becky was AWOL. Additionally, Becky was dead to them. Paul basically saying in not so many words, I never trusted her anyway. So Graham revealed to you that over the course of his work with you and the other hunters, his business, his bar, Tap That Glass, had suffered sales-wise and patronage-wise. He had to get back to his bar and salvage his livelihood. He seemed very relieved that this had been the result, because he didn't want to do field work anymore. He always considered himself more of an idea man. And when he said the words, regardless of the context, I think this was the best outcome I could have hoped for, you slugged him. And you got really angry with him, saying that this was any sort of good outcome with your friend Becky gone and Roy hospitalized. So you two parted ways badly, and we open with you in your apartment, condo. Where does Vandal live?
Vandal lives in a small studio apartment above the garage where he works. However, due to his now alcoholic lifestyle, when he's asleep, he can usually be found in the garage, somewhere near his car, surrounded by empty beer bottles, in various stages of disarray, personally, or his surroundings.
Does Vandal?
The guy's a mess.
Does Vandal own this garage?
He does not. He works for an individual. Forgive me, I forget his name at the moment. He works for a man who has no problem paying his workers under the table and helping them live under the radar, as it were, since he had himself lived that sort of lifestyle in the past.
Okay. Dan, have you got something? Can you type into a document real quick?
Yes, let me pull something up real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
With your permission, we're just going to name this guy right now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's call him Bob Sosa.
Bob Sosa. Sure thing.
Yeah. Okay. How far do you and Bob go back? I know some details are probably fuzzy, but others, I assume, are pretty intuitive.
About as long as Vandal has lived in Atlanta. So, give or take 3 or 4 years.
So for the viewers at home, how old is Vandal?
Vandal is him to be in his early 30s, though he doesn't actually have any positive official IDs. Everything he tends to own is falsified, and yourself, you'd probably say that he doesn't even know specifically.
Okay. So, Vandal wakes up to the sound of clinking beer bottles, and very quickly after that, he is He is unpleasantly aroused by the sound of a garage door being yanked up along its rollers. And then a flood of sunlight hits his face. And there's Bob Sosa saying, "What the hell? You fell down asleep down here again? How late were you up last night? What the fuck? What did I tell you about drinking down here?"
Oh, shoot. Ugh. Vandal like throws an arm over his eyes. He was actually asleep in the back seat of his car, door open. He's got a boot off. He's just a total mess. He rolls out unceremoniously onto the ground, rubs the back of his head. He opens up his mouth to spit back a nasty retort, but then it sinks into his brain that it's his boss talking to him. So he yawns, rubs his eyes, and says, hey, yeah, sorry about that, boss. I just,
Vincent. And he calls you Vincent because, he's got that kind of relationship with you. Like you, to the public, and with your mechanic suit with the little name tag on, you got a Vincent. And he'll call you Vandal or even Van. But he knows you well enough at this point, especially since he rents the room out upstairs to you, that when he calls you Vincent, it's kind of like when your mom uses your middle name. So Bob is agitated with you. Vincent, look, I can't be having this kind of behavior. You want to work here, you want to live here, you don't drink in this garage. And you know what? No, it's not my business, but you might want to think about cutting back on the drinking altogether, man. You're still 3 days behind on your rent, and I need you to pull it together. I know something happened. You don't want to tell me about it. That's fine. It's your personal life, whatever. But when you're down here, you're my fucking employee. So get your shit together. And with that, he leaves to go make some phone calls. And you are left with whatever feeling that exchange gives you.
Vandal rubs his eyes and glares out into the sunlight at him, and just a feeling of embarrassment and anger floods through him, followed quickly by shame. He looks around and almost in a moment of clarity realizes that Bob's right. He's a complete mess. Everything around him is a mess that he feels like he caused. Down in Gainesville. So he, without getting up, he pats at his chest pockets, pulls out a pack of cigarettes and lights one up, then hauls himself to his feet and sets about the business of cleaning up the shop.
Okay. Unless you have anything very specific you want to do here, I'm going to fast forward to the events of the day and then get into the evening.
Other than Vandal's probably going to do at least something about his appearance, shower at least, but he'll probably forego shaving and just throw a hat onto his head, which is unusual for him.
Because he likes showing off his greaser hairdo?
Exactly. Usually he takes the time to stop, like shave, clean himself up, throw some something into his hair, get a pompadour going. But no, this time he just wants to make sure he doesn't smell bad.
Now, Vandal's normally pretty clean shaven, am I correct?
Correct. He has tends to have a saying that the few fucks you should give, you should save for your car and for your looks.
Okay.
But these days, it's he's almost completely run out of fucks to give.
So let me lay out some details if I missed going over them with you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it is about 3 months since you returned from Gainesville. So how much beard has Vandal grown out at this point? Has he completely foregone shaving, or does he only do it like every once in a while?
He's actually taken to just using clippers to trim it down, so he doesn't so much as have a beard as scruff, somewhere between 5 o'clock shadow and scruff.
Okay. But this is still strange for him.
Definitely, this is Vandal's the kind of person who's meticulous about his appearance.
Okay. So today you get your third text from Roy since he got out of the hospital. The first one, you were overjoyed to talk with him. But during your meeting, you remember having way too much to drink and a lot of hugs and a lot of I'm sorry's and I should have been there and it's my fault. You cried during that meeting. But aside from that and a wicked hangover, you do not remember much about your initial meeting with Roy. Text number 2 was about getting back together, trying to reconcile with Graham, and seeing about maybe trying to make contact with Becky. To which you replied you had no interest in working with Graham again. And while you may or may not have voiced this to Roy, you were not in any sort of frame of mind or physical shape, you felt. And this was not because you'd like let yourself go or your muscles had atrophied or anything, but like when he talked about getting back onto the saddle, all you could think of was, you know, your splitting headache and the 6 pounds of cement in your stomach. You're just like, oh god. And then you thought of zombie faces, and then you vomited. So yeah, so you told Roy like, hey, maybe I'll come around sometime and we can talk more. But for now, I'm still working through some stuff. By the way, when you meet Roy face to face that time, the way he has chosen to communicate is via a computer and some text to voice program. He prefers not to use the electrolarynx option for whatever reason. And he hasn't decided whether or not he's going to attempt to learn sign language, especially because, you know, that would require everyone else around him to also know sign language. So for now, and Roy wasn't exactly a chatterbox to begin with, but for now, Roy sort of communicates through intuitive facial expressions, hand gestures, and when he absolutely needs to say something, through the text to voice. But now it's almost sort of like being friends with Silent Bob.
Oh, okay.
So today is the third text message. And much like the second one, he's really hoping that you will think about coming over this weekend and talking about what you experienced in Gainesville and your, quote, next move. And however you decide to respond is up to you, but as soon as he says all of that, you are immediately overwhelmed with visions of rots surrounding you. You think about how your stomach sank, or how your heart sank into your stomach when you saw that video of the enemy threatening you and your friends. You think about the threat that was made to your friends that if you ever come to Florida again, that they will bathe the streets of Little Five Points in the blood of your loved ones. So, however you choose to respond to Roy based on that, on those feelings, is up to you.
Um,
Oh, and your conviction's still at 0. Just however that makes you feel.
Normally this call, this text, and the mention of, normally his reaction to everything you just said would be, anger, some righteous indignation, of what the enemy had threatened Vandal with, what they had done to Roy. Initially when all these things happened, he just felt so much rage, impotent rage, like anger he didn't even know what to do with. But now all he just feels is tired and thirsty. So he's going to look at his phone. He's going to check his pockets, see how many crumpled bills he's got laying around, stuffed in his pockets. And he's going to head out and go to the nearest bar. And he figures, he'd knock back a pitcher or two. And he's sure he'll come up with a solution after that.
Okay, about what time is it when he gets to the bar?
If it was evening, it'll probably be not quite, I would say not quite sunset.
Not quite sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no,
So
I mean,
basically,
when does the garage close?
Oh, the garage. Oh, okay. Garage has normal 9 to 5 hours. So after it closes, he'd probably end up at a bar around 6.
Okay, so this is 3 months after your Gainesville adventure, which puts you into February of 2017. So I'm thinking by this point the sun has set.
Okay.
Unless there's something you desperately wanted to do before sunset.
Nope.
Okay. You get another text around, call it halfway through picture 1. And your eyes go a little bit wide because you did not expect to hear from this person because you haven't heard from them in many months at this point. It's Jay Park, the vampire that you helped to revive all those months ago and who is in your debt for doing so. He says, Vandal, I have to keep this short, but I think I've found her, and I need your help. Please get in touch with me soon. And that's the whole text.
Wow. That's a big one. That's what Vandal says. He's staring at his phone, his jaw's open, and then he says out loud to himself, that's a big one. Okay. And then he waves down the bartender and says, I'm going to need a whiskey to go with this one. And then he pours himself another cold one, figures he'll, polish off a shot or two, finish off this pitcher, and then hit the streets and respond with a text. After, consuming, of course, even more alcohol, which is probably not the best thing to be doing right now, he steps outside, replies back, where are you at?
I'm sorry. Before you send this text, your phone is hit with another text, and this one is from Travis. Do you open it to see what it is?
Yeah, Vandal frowns down at his phone, sways back and forth a little bit, And yeah, he opens it.
Okay. It says baseball bat, magic, hoodie, Zippo, and you black out. When you wake up again, your phone isn't dead, but it's off. You know, like it's on the off screen. Um, you kind of shake your head and you look for the text from Travis again, and it's gone. Like it's been deleted. Also, it's now 2 hours later.
What the ever living fuck? What the? Vandal frowns and like pinches the bridge of his nose. He's got a headache coming on, which usually doesn't happen until after he's done drinking in the morning. But something is just really, it's starting to feel like an ice pick is digging into the side of his head. But he just kind of shakes it off and flips back in his phone to the text from Jay. And then he replies, missing a few letters, but he manages to get the text out.
The where you at text?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And as you stand around waiting for a reply, you feel a hand warmly and friendly clasp you on the shoulder. And you're like, holy shit. And a voice says, holy shit, I thought that was you. And you turn around, and it's an old friend of yours from back in your band playing days. He's not a guy who was in the band with you, but, you know, he was always, like, part of the circle of friends. And if you've got a good suggestion for a name for this guy, that'd be super awesome.
Let's go with Steve-O.
Can we not go with Steve-O? I just can't help but think of the jackass guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's just my friend's
No
friend
worries.
in high school. One of those guys. He was named Steve-O, but
Steve, that guy, the jackass guy, really ruined the nickname Steve-O for.
he really did. And SLC Punk went so far to make it like somewhat of a good one. But okay, let's go with John. Johnny. Even better.
Johnny. How about Johnny Sykes?
Johnny Sykes. That works.
Johnny Sykes. It's like, hey, dude, Van, I haven't seen you in forever, man. What's up?
Hey, dude, Johnny. Go away.
Dude, what? I haven't seen you in. God, I feel like I haven't seen you in a year, man. What's been going on? Like you.
Yeah. Actually, no. That's a funny story. I met up with this chick. She's really cool. You might know her. Her name's Nunya. You know, Nunya
Hey.
Business. Have you met Nunya Business?
All right, fine. You know, Mr. Cool Guy, Mr. Rubber Burner, Mr. Hot Rod. I got my secrets. All right. Yeah, I get it. Fuck you. But listen, what are you doing right now? That's what I thought. Nothing. You're coming to a party with me.
Johnny, no. Okay, fine. You got me. I'm doing nothing. But right now, that's my plan, to do nothing. I set time aside from my schedule to do nothing. Thanks for the invite, but
as you're saying this, you catch a look at the vein in his neck, and it is black. It is pumping like black fluid through his vein. And then all of a sudden, just as quickly as you saw it, Back to a normal-looking human neck.
Vandal's eyes go kind of wide, and he puts a hand firmly on Johnny's back and gives him not a hard shove that would throw him back, but a good, like, pressuring, like a push. Says, dude, seriously, I've got stuff to do. So, and go enjoy your party. Have fun, man, but I'm out.
Then he says to you, it's like, dude, look, there's a whole gang of people from back in the day who miss you. I miss you, man. We haven't spoken in forever. You haven't spoken to all these people in forever. If you come, people are going to flip the fuck out. Holy shit, it's Vandal. I can hear it now, really. And I'm not giving you a choice, man. You need to come or people are going to die. And then you shake your head real quick, like not believing what you just said. But then it's weird because it's almost as if the scene rewinds and repeats itself. And what you hear him say this time is, you need to come. This party's going to be totally fly.
Vandal stops. He takes a good look at Johnny's eyes. Like, he takes a good, hard look and bobs his head back and forth, kind of in a very Robert De Niro kind of fashion. You know what? Fuck it. Why not?
When you look into his eyes, you can't help but notice how sharp and alert they are. And then as you go along, and he offers to drive because he can tell you're 3 sheets to the wind, as you head toward his car, and then in his car on the way there, as he speaks and just bullshits about old times, you kind of steal glances at his eyes, and you could just about swear he doesn't blink the whole time.
Okay. On the trip, Vandal's going to pull out his cigarette, and as he goes for his lighter, he's gonna pat his pocket and just to double check, make sure his switchblade is there.
Give me.
And then just he lets Johnny ramble.
Give me 1 second. Make a quick secret roll here. I mean, the results of the roll are secret. You know I'm making it though.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of 1 second.
In this spare second, I have got to grab my computer charger. This will only take a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Dan, you sent me your updated character sheet.
Yes, I did.
Did you send that in Facebook Messenger or Skype?
I believe I sent it through Messenger. I can double check real quick.
Okay. Here it is. I found it. Okay, so shimmy, 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 shimmy. You know what? I know exactly what I'm going to roll for this. Oof. Oh, Dan. I am sorry. Vandal did. Vandal did not remember his switchblade.
Oh, fuck.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
1 second.
I mean,
I'm sorry about that, Dan. I had to put something away and then go to the bathroom. So, Vandal has been drinking a lot lately, and the hunt has been the furthest thing away from his mind. So, no, I'm man. You had good odds on that roll, but alas, it's not meant to be. So you are
Alcohol.
Yep, you are unarmed, sir. You get to where the party is. You see a host of familiar faces. Some are very happy to see you, and they run up and hug you. Everybody's already pretty drunk by this point. Some look at you like you have three heads, or like they never expected to see you here, or they cannot for the life of me, or the life of them, figure out what you're doing here. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And when you look at them,
Okay.
there's this nagging feeling. You can't put words to it. There's this nagging feeling, why they're giving you this look. But your forebrain, your conscious brain, can't imagine why. I mean, you haven't been hitting the party scene very hard in the last few months, ever since the imbuing in the courthouse. It's been over a year since then. But you still, so far as you can recall, made time to, hit the occasional social gathering.
Right.
But these people are looking like you just stepped out of a whole other era of their lives. Or like you did something crazy. Either way, you can't put your finger on this feeling you're feeling, but people are looking at you strange. And some people just don't give a shit. They're just so happy to see you.
Right.
Now, your band members were Molly, Rhino, and yourself. Was there anyone else?
It was actually Missy was her name.
Was it Missy? Okay.
Yeah. There was.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. There was some confusion there, but that had to be retconned, as it were, because of reasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Okay. I might edit this part out if it's a spoiler. So, but I just need to know for my own notification. Is Molly the dead girlfriend?
Molly is the dead girlfriend.
But
right.
Missy is the very living person who gave you a ride that time. It was in the band.
Exactly. Okay. And she is also in the know, as it were.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give it 3 seconds of silence, and then we're going to bounce right in, because that actually is fine. And that helps that actually helps. Okay. Okay, so your bandmates were yourself, Missy, and Rhino. And was there anyone else I was forgetting?
Nope, just a 3-piece outfit.
Okay. Missy is not here, but Rhino is. And you tell me, like, however long it's been since you've seen or talked to Rhino, and I kind of vaguely remember a short story you wrote up called Band Practice or something similar.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was named either, but Rhino, he's not the brightest, but it's not so much stupidity as it is still waters run deep. He keeps most of his thoughts and opinions and whatnot to himself. His reaction to seeing Vandal in public at a party without any forewarning or communication, it would upset him that he didn't hasn't shown up to band practice in like so long, but outwardly he shows more relief. Like, okay, this might be a scene this might be a sign that he's coming back out into the world. But he's not the kind of guy to show joy, or like, a sobbing, emotional reunion. It's more of a
More of a what now?
it would be more of a, hey, what's up, man? How you been? Like, he's very deadpan.
Well, you know the character better than I. Would you be comfortable doing a brief exchange between Vandal and Rhino?
Sure.
Cool.
Sure. So Vandal comes into the party and he's seeing the familiar, friendly faces, kind of noticing the odd faces, but mainly he's starting to slip into his old, like, I guess you could say, celebrity mode. He's pointing, he's waving, doing double hand points and just kind of, saying, I am here. How's it going? And then Rhino, like 6'8", built like Shaq. He's kind of easy to spot in the crowd. He lumbers over, gingerly making his way through the crowd, and says, "Hey, how's it going, big guy?" It's like, not bad, Rhino. Not bad. Just been. And Rhino holds up a hand, just kind of like, you don't even need to say it, bro. You're good. And they eventually, a pair of beers make it into their hands, and they toast, and that's it. It's like no time has passed between them at all.
Cool. You and Rhino shoot the shit for a while. And as you look around, you're certain it's got to be the drink, or you're trying to tell yourself that. But as you watch people move, they don't move like drunk people ought to be moving. They move much more steadily, like they're sober. And you're like, what? Everybody's drinking their asses off. How are people sober? But then it's more than that. As you just keep watching them from your little corner of the party, they move with purpose. They move really quickly. And not just their floor speed, but their reflexes and their turnaround time. It's almost as if someone has slightly dialed up the speed on a video recording of normal people. You look around you and no one is commenting on this. You don't know if anybody's actually noticing this. But very briefly, and this churns your stomach a little, once or twice on a couple of these people, and by the way, this is not everybody at the party, just a few of these people are moving around quicker than normal. And on a couple of those people, on those handful of people, you could just about swear that you see the black veiny thing on some of the girls who are wearing something a bit more revealing. You might see it on their arms. On a guy with a button-up shirt, you might see it on his neck again, or maybe even like a little forehead vein pumping out. But you just blink and it's gone, but you almost swear you see just these little flashes of black underneath the skin. And then you're worried that if you keep staring, people are going to catch on to you staring, especially because these people look like they're not blinking. All of a sudden, someone calls out, "Hey, John, did you say you got a hold of Molly?" And as soon as you hear that name, your stomach flips over and your knees buckle a little. You get sweaty. You're not entirely sure why, but you grab onto Rhino, who supports you. He's like, "Whoa, man. Just hold up. You're not that. You haven't had that many, man. You used to be able to hold your shit better than this."
Vandal like rubs his face and says, "Oh, man, I threw back a couple of shots. I wasn't actually expecting to come out and party. I was just gonna get toasted, wander the points, but hey, tell me, man, if you know I've been under a rock. Has shit been weird without me?"
Everything's weird without you, man. Can't do much with the band, but how do you mean?
You know how it is with our people. Every so often, a bad batch of herb gets in, and people just kind of act a bit more paranoid than normal.
Dude, nobody's
just for a little bit
using herb in like months. Everybody's on this new shit right now. It's like, what do they call it? It's not ecstasy, but it's like that in that it does kind of the same thing as ecstasy, and it has a super gay name like ecstasy. Fuck, what are they calling that shit? Kiss. They call it... Who the fuck takes a drug named Kiss, man? And as if on cue, if you look out of the corner of your eye and you see John, the girl who was asking about Molly, he is holding up a pill for her, and she slips him something, probably cash.
Vandal takes one look at that, one look at Rhino. He says, "Dude, has shit changed that much since I was gone? Look, when I was around, people knew you stay away from the fucking needle and you stay away from the fucking pills. Unless they're fucking vetted. God fucking damn it. You know
Dude,
what?
It's not that bad. Like, honestly, I haven't taken any, but all the people I've seen take, they don't even act high. I mean,
dude, stop. Let me stop you right there, Rhino. Think about what you just said. They're taking a drug and they don't even seem high. You know what? Back me up on this. And then Vandal turns and he starts swaying a little bit, but walking with purpose straight to Johnny. And when he gets over to Johnny, he clamps a hand on his shoulder, looks him straight in the eye, and says, "What the fuck are you doing?"
He's like, "Dude, back off." And he shrugs out of your grip, and you're surprised at how easily he does that.
Vandal double takes for like just a second, but quickly like he's starting to get mad. He grabs Johnny like by the front of his shirt in both hands and pulls him close. Says, "No, you listen to me. I may have been under a rock and in a bottle for a bit, but you know how shit works around here. I don't know what the fuck you're pushing, but you better tell me what the fuck is going on right here and right now, even if I have to drag you out back and squeeze it out of you."
He chuckles and looks down, and before you can blink, shoves his right hand out in one of those kung fu open hand push moves, and you are on your ass. Not like even you stumble back a couple of steps and fall down. I mean, you go flying. Like, no one seems to notice how much distance you cover, but obviously the room comes to a screeching halt. And he's like, dude, I don't know where the fuck you've been for the past few months, but shit doesn't work. I don't know how you think shit works, but it doesn't work however, like, you come into my fucking house and grab me. All right? Get the fuck out of my house. And you notice that he has dropped a little baggie out of his pocket, and it's full of the same kind of pill that he handed to that girl or whatever. And as you're looking at him, you see the unblinking eye, and you just don't know. Everybody's looking at you like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? And he's looking at you like his eyes say he's angry, but you can just perceive the corners of his mouth going up just a little tiny bit, like he wants you to do something else. And that black vein is back. And when you look at the baggie, you can't understand where the fuck this is coming from, but you hear that line from the Matrix, and it's Morpheus saying, you take the red pill.
Well, Vandal, from his spot on the ground, he like cracks his neck, slowly gets up. I mean, still swaying. You know, he like grabs a nearby piece of furniture to help steady himself. He gets up, pulls his hat off, you know, just drops on the ground, smooths back his hair, straightens his jacket, cracks his back a little bit. And he points at him, at Johnny, and says, you know what? You're right. Totally uncool of me. I come to your pad, I grab you, try to shake you down, try to cause waves, and yeah, I've been gone for a while. I'm sure things have changed. But you know what doesn't change? Friends. Always got your back. Hey, Rhino, grab this guy for me, would you?
Rhino looks at you, and he looks at Johnny, and he just sort of takes stock of the whole situation. And he looks at you, and he just lays a hand on your shoulder. He says, dude, you're drunk. You need to go, man. Like, I'll call you an Uber or whatever, or I'll walk you home, but fucking read the room, man. You gotta go. And everybody in the room is giving you eyes like they've got Johnny's back, not yours.
Yep. Vandal checks the room, and just like gives him a look of just pure like this disappointment. And it hits him like, even as he's looking at Rhino and just giving him that look of, dude, come on, thought you were my friend. And then it hits him like this. That's another friend of mine who doesn't have my back, just like the other guys. And again, it's my fault. So these thoughts are going through his mind. And he just kind of pats Randall on the back and is like, "Look, you're right. My bad. I put you on the spot." And then he turns to the rest of the room, holds up his hands, and says, "Look, guys, I'm a douche. Totally screwed up your party. I'm out of here. Sorry." And he just turns and starts walking to the nearest door.
The room is noticeably quiet until you leave. And as soon as you make it down out of the door and start going down the stairs, the music starts kicking back up again.
Vandal, stops, lights a cigarette, snorts, sniffs in indignation a few times, sticks his hands in his pockets, and starts walking down the street just to brush it off. And he starts thinking about what he saw. The bag, pills, their veins, thinking about Johnny's eyes and the crazy strength. And he starts thinking about how much things have changed in his home since he's thrown himself into a bottle. And all of the self-loathing that has been building up in him this entire time just triples. And all he can really do is walk down the street, not really looking at anything, trudging along.
I think that is a perfect place to stop, because we have set up, Vandal's character, some of the people he knows. We've set up, the part of the neighborhood that he really cares about. We've set up this whole thing where he is decidedly off message and people don't, trust him anymore. It's just people are gonna, yeah, wow. I think we really had a good dramatic moment here, and this sets it up perfectly. Because, you go home, and then we're ready for when the others sort of get their call to action. It'll all come weaving together.
Nice. Yeah, that's solid. Very good.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing what Mariah ends up doing. Okay. Yeah, her session is Saturday, and I have to get Jamie's session. Okay. So this wraps up Vandal session 0, I guess. And we will continue with Mariah's session, or her character Sherry DuPont's session. And then
Is it Sherry or Cherry?
Cherry, as in on top of a sundae.
Oh, I see so many puns in their future. That poor girl. Oh, God, Vandal's going to torment her. I can already see it.
Must you? Have you learned nothing, guy who pushes people away?
Oh, come on. This isn't me we're talking about here, though. Vandal has gotten to the point when it comes to women that it's out of my control.
I'm frankly surprised that in what I'm sure must be at least half a dozen episodes of you running away from some beastie, alongside a woman running away from the same beastie, that none of them have ever tried to trip you and give themselves a fighting chance.
And he totally deserves it too. Oh my God, he totally deserves it.
Yeah. I wonder when Jamie's going to be free to do Roy's solo session. All right. I'm going to stop the broadcast.